Hello and welcome to the Economy This Week series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about important economic events which had happened the past week, and this session is important for your GS3 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. So first of all, we are going to discuss the Nobel Prize in Economics. Then we are going to discuss about the economic impact of India-Canada tussle. Then we are going to discuss about the welfare schemes for gig workers. And then we are going to discuss about the India's renewable energy target. So these are the topics which we are going to cover up in today's session. Coming to the first topic. The first topic is Nobel Prize in Economics, and this is the news. Why nations fail or succeed, what this year economics Nobel winners worked on. So as you already know that we had discussed so many Nobel Prizes in our daily program. So this is for the economy this week. In this session we are going to discuss that on which theme Nobel Prize of Economics got this award and what are the different dimensions of it. So particularly we are going to discuss and solve out the economic issues from this discussion. So first of all, you should know that who have got the Nobel Prize in Economics. So Daron Acemoglu, Simon Johnson and James A. Robinson, these three have got the Nobel Prize in Economics, and their theme is that how institutions are formed and affect prosperity. And here institution mostly means the social institutions. So this is their theme, that they have tried to make a differences in prosperity between nation, and what are the reasons that why there is a differences in prosperity between the nation. So this is about the Nobel Prize in Economics, and you have to mention and you have to remember these three names because this is very important for your prelims examination. Now we'll come to the questions, that what questions they have raised regarding the Nobel Prize, regarding the prosperity of the nation. So the Nobel laureate has raised few pertinent questions. First question is, why are some nations rich and others poor? Why do some nations fail and others succeed in achieving prosperity? And as they have also given the evidence that in today's time what we have seen, that the countries who are richer, who had become more richer, and world's countries are now, the richest 20% of the world's countries are now around 30 times richer than the 20 poorest countries, 20% of the poorest countries. And what we have seen, that there is a income gap between the richest and poorest countries which is persistent. So the poorest countries had tried to move forward and they were successful also, but not at the same pace. And we can see that the richer nation has a different pace and the poorer nation has a different pace. So what are the reasons that why there is a difference in pace, why some nations are rich and poor, and why there is a different parameters to achieving prosperity? So here is the answer. Those are the question. What we have seen, that there are broad set of the rules. So these Nobel laureates had tried to find out that there are broad set of rules to govern any country. And what we have seen, that the countries who have a more freedom, that country is prosperous. The countries who does not have a, what you can say, their population is not happy, and the country who have a exploitative nature towards their population are not prosperous. This is the find out they have think. Now here they had also highlighted the poor law and institutions, and if you have a poor law and institution, there are chances that the country's growth will be stagnant and it will have a slow growth. And there they had highlighted the two kinds of institution. The first is inclusive and third is the extractive. So what inclusive institution is about? So inclusive institution is about that it refers to the existence of democracy, law and order, protection of property rights. And if we'll talk about the extractive institutional framework, typically refers to the lack of rule of law, power being concentrated in the hands of few, autocracy and dictatorship. So here inclusive institution means that democratic, whoever more liberal values, And extractive institution means that autocracy where powers remain in the few. Here people have more liberty, and here only few have liberal powers, and they will decide that how they will govern their citizens. So this is about the inclusive and extractive institution, and they have said that those countries who had followed the path of inclusive institution, they are prosperous. But many experts have raised question onto this kind of findings, and they said that this particular principle is not applicable to India and China. As you already know that India has a very strong and good and liberal constitution. But what we have seen that China has a very strict rules in some situation in terms of press also. But China is more prosperous than India, despite of having extractive institution, and India have an inclusive institution, but India has a slow pace than China for the growth. So might be these all theories are not applicable to all the countries. And they have also given the theory of colonizers and colonies, and they said that different colonizers had adopted different kind of social and economic institution to survive in any country. And it said that if they want to rule any country for the longest time, they had followed the inclusive institutions, and if they want to stay away from the country and rule for the some limited period of time because of the low climatic condition and because of the different problems, they had followed the extractive institution. So these all factors cumulatively responsible for the growth of any nation and prosperity of the nation, though it is also debatable because at a different time span different countries have a different prosperity parameters. So it is not applicable all the time, but they had highlighted that time frame while studying the prosperity of any nation. Time period is a crucial part. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the India-Canada economic relations. So here is the news. No economic pain, India-Canada trade withstand diplomatic strain. So what had happened that recently Canada and India went to a political spat in which Canada has asked and expelled the Indian diplomats, and in response to that India has also expelled the Canadian diplomats, and they had made certain allegations onto each other. The Canada has said that India is targeting the pro-Khalistani leaders through its diplomats in Canada. On the other hand, India is saying that Canada is involving into the vote bank politics and it is promoting the anti-national sentiments into the Canada, and it is promoting the separatist ideology in the Canada. So this is the political spat, but every political spat has economic consequences. So here we'll know that what is economic consequences. So before knowing to the economic consequences, first of all, we should know that what is the import and export condition of the country. So this is the import and export condition of the country. So what we have seen that in the financial year 2023, India exported 5,143 commodities, and major items are the pharmaceutical products, nuclear reactors, boilers and parts, electric machinery, articles of iron and steel. And here India imported 2,054 commodities, and the products are the edible vegetables, fertilizers, pearls, precious metals, and also pulses and potash. So these are the export and import thing, and what we have seen that India's export commodities are higher, which is 5,143, and India's import commodities is lower, which is 2,000, nearly 2,000. Now here we'll know the India-Canada trade expenditure and trade overall overview. So what we have seen that India-Canada trade percentage is even less than 1%, and currently it is 0.75%. So currently it is 0.5%. Here it is a graph. We can see that this is not a new thing that this percentage has been lowered down because of the political spat. Before political spat also the percentage was already down, and since last 10 to 12 years we can see that the India-Canada trade relation is below the 1%. In 2009 also it was 0.782%. In financial year 2010 we can see that 0.68. So it was consistently low, and in last 10 to 12 years we can see that it has not exceeded the 1%. So this is the thing. If we'll talk about the export, So export is merely 0.9%, import is 0.7%, and this is the total trade that we have. Also trade deficit, last year we have $200 billion trade deficit, this year we have $700 million trade deficit. So this is the thing, and what we can see that together RBI showed that remittances, because foreign reserve has a main source of remittances, and remittances are the main contributor to the foreign reserves. So if we'll discuss about that, how Canada contribute to the remittances of India, so it is nearly 0.6%, which is very low. So this is the trade estimate of India and Canada, and we can see that it is less than 1%. However, there is a question that in terms of trade, might be India and Canada both will not hurt each other because they have other options to move. But in terms of education and tourism, it will have a major impact. And why it is so? So here it is a data. What we have seen that in 2015, 15% of the students went to Canada, Indian student. But right now the percentage has been what you can say has folded 9 jump fold, and it has become 41%. So the permission granted to study in Canada, it has become 15% to 41% in last 8 to 9 years. And it is 9-fold jump. And what we have seen that out of 2,78,000 students, 1,73,000 students have got study permit. And here it is a data, we can see that it has been consistently rising in terms of the education. So Indians are choosing Canada for their education. Now we'll talk about the tourism sector. That tourism sector will also be impacted because of the India-Canada spat. So what happened, we can see that India was the 4th largest source of tourists headed to North American countries, and nearly 4 lakh tourists in the first 11 months of 2023. So nearly 4 lakh tourists went to the North American countries. So here if we'll take the data of 2018, what we have seen that around 2,97,000 tourists from India contributed to Canadian economy. And around what is the worth of their economy? So it is $306 million, and Canada accounted for 3% of tourist arrivals in India in 2019. But what we have seen that if we'll talk about the India, so it is less number of Canadians who are coming to the Indias, and those who are coming, more than 70% belongs to the Indian diaspora and Indian origin. So what we can see that the people who are not from the Indian origin are less likely to visit the India. So we can see that both countries will be also impacted, especially Canada will be highly impacted because of this political spat. Now we'll come to the next topic. Next topic is about the gig workers. So welfare schemes for gig workers. So what happened that recently there was a meeting called by the Union Labour Minister Mansukh Mandviye, and in that meeting they had discussed about the condition of the gig workers, and they had talked about that how we can provide social security to gig workers. So this is about the news. Now here we'll talk about the findings of the meeting, that what they had talked. So they had discussed and they had decided that there should be a committee, and that will develop the framework for providing social security to the gig workers and how we can do welfare to our gig workers. Then there is also a representative whose name is Sheikh Salahuddin, who has been representing the Indian Federation of App-Based Transport Workers, said that benefits has been given. So we had discussed about the social security benefits, and that should be given the legal entitlements. So, and for that there will be the unique ID provided to the every gig workers. And who are the gig workers? So you often see that Blinkit people who have carried your things, and they are sending and they are delivering you in 10 minutes. You can also see the Flipkart delivery person, Amazon delivery person. So they are basically the gig workers. So I have shown you an example. And they had also said that because gig workers and gig economy is not much stable economy, so we cannot assume that there will be employer and employee kind of relationship. But with the help of unique ID, we'll be able to know about the person, that person is getting social security or not. and it should be portable across the country. So this is the thing, that it should be portable. Suppose that any gig worker is working in Bihar and he or she wants to shift in Delhi. So in that situation, that unique ID is portable in nature, so that the social welfare and social security is provided by the government, different state government is also providing, and central government is also providing. The benefit should not be snatched away. And so many, whatever the tax, whatever the transaction, whatever the contribution they have to give, all the unique ID, with the help of unique ID, will be able to know more information about them. So this is about the findings of the meeting, that government is deciding that the social security should be extended to the gig workers, so that they should not live their life in the misery. Now we'll come to the next one. Next one is about the renewable energy target. So India has decided a renewable energy target for 2030. So it is around 500 gigawatt. So here there is a discussion that why India has a long way to before achieving the 2030 renewable capacity target. So India may have India will find difficulty in achieving this target, which is 500 gigawatt installed capacity by 2030. And why it is so? So here we had discussed that what it shows, that we have a contribution of different renewable energy. So if we'll talk about the solar energy, it is in terms of gigawatt, it is more than 280 gigawatt. And if we'll talk about the wind, it is 100 gigawatt, bioenergy, it is less than 20 gigawatt, hydro energy, which is nearly 80 gigawatt, and nuclear, which is more than 20 gigawatt. So here we'll have an idea about that how this ambition will slow. The ambition would require government to add nearly 50 gigawatt capacity every year until 2030. But after COVID, we can see there is a slowdown in the contribution, and 33.5 gigawatt addition per annum would need to come through solar capacity. So India's solar capacity has contributed a lot, and it has developed through a very fast pace. So what we can see that, but this process has been little slowed down during the post-COVID period. And if we'll talk about the wind energy, so it has averaged around 2.2 gigawatt. And from last 10 years, we can see that the solar capacity has increased, and India is planning to achieve this target 90.8 gigawatt. So India has already achieved, but India is planning to achieve this target, which is 292 gigawatt solar capacity by 2030. But currently India's solar energy has contribution of 90.8 gigawatt. And if we'll talk about the 2015, it was just 3.7 gigawatt. So we have achieved this far, but still we have to achieve this target. And if we'll talk about the wind capacity, so wind capacity has also doubled, and it has become 47.4 gigawatt from 23.4 gigawatt. And India's target for wind capacity is 100 gigawatt. So we still have halfway to achieve this target. Now here we'll have some data about that, from which state solar energy comes. So from Rajasthan 25.5%, then from other country 31.1%, Gujarat 13.9%, Karnataka 12.3%, Tamil Nadu 10.1%, and Maharashtra 7.1%. So many experts have suggested we need to expand our base for solar energy across all the countries. So we should not just dependent on the Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. We should look for other states also, so that we can procure more solar energy from those states. So here we have data about that solar has expanded faster than the rest. So in financial year 2015, it was 3.7 gigawatt. Then from last 8 to 9 years, we can see that from 3.7 gigawatt, we have achieved to 90.8 gigawatt in terms of wind. So from 23, we have achieved 47. So it has almost doubled. So bioenergy from 7.8, it has become 11. Hydro, so from 45.3 to 52, and nuclear 5.8 to 8.2. So these are the three areas, which is bioenergy, hydro and nuclear. So in these three areas we have to work, and we have to increase their contribution so that we can achieve our renewable energy target. So that's it for the discussion part. Now I have to discuss the question for you. So these are the 4 MCQs you have. So, which sector is expected to be the most impacted in Canada due to growing tensions with India? IT and manufacturing, education and tourism, energy and mining, healthcare and pharmaceuticals. This is very easy one. Then we'll come to the next one. Next one is about the 2024 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences was awarded to US economists Daron Acemoglu, Simon Johnson and James A. Robinson for their work on the role of climate change in economic development, the formation of societal institutions and their impact on prosperity, the effect of globalization on developing economies, the influence of technological innovation on income inequality. So this is also easy. Then you have to come to the third question. What is the India's target for installed power capacity by the year 2030? 100 gigawatt, 300 gigawatt, 500 gigawatt and 750 gigawatt. This we already have discussed. Then we have last question. What is the primary objective of eShram portal? To provide loans to small businesses, to create a national database of unorganized workers, to register farmers for subsidies, to offer job placement. So here there is a talk of eShram. So eShram, the government is also planning to launch eShram 2.0 and it will also have an expanded base to the gig workers, and all the gig workers will be benefited with all the benefits of the eShram. So this is a what you can say database of all the workers where the government and everybody should have a data that who are the part of unorganized sector. So that's it for today's session. I hope you like this session. If you have queries related to this session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.